20 is an email dated January 13th from Brian Moss, 16 Reuben Circle, regarding a request for the town to notify pregnant women about the latest study on fluoride's link to reduced IQ in children. I'll note that. Does anybody have any comments on that at the moment?
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of just comments. I've been speaking with Mr. Moss at Selectman office hours past few times he's been there. I definitely understand his thinking as to notifying pregnant women of this, and also his concern about fluoridated water. I voted at town meeting at the time that fluoride came up as a town meeting member to remove fluoride from the water. That's no secret that that's always been a concern that I have. However, this for me is less about the fluoride and more about the precedent that we set when we notify the public about studies that are not conclusive or that are not showing conclusive data that there's an actual risk to health. And I understand that if you were to read these studies, one out of Mexico and one out of Canada, that it would then show you that there's a risk to pregnant women if they consume water with fluoride in it. But you can also find studies that don't support that theory. And so in that way, I find it to be a very controversial issue. So taking that piece of it away, I understand why we, as a community and as a Board of Selectmen, were to notify the public about PFAS or hexchrome, because there isn't an argument as to whether or not those things are bad for you or dangerous in certain levels. No one is putting out information saying that it's safe to ingest PFAS or hexchrome. So the data there is conclusive. And having watched the different Board of Health discussions regarding this, where Mr. Moss has gone before the Board of Health with the similar request of notifying the public, they decided at their last meeting that because they were not aware of any other municipalities that were alerting the public, and they weren't receiving any guidance from the Mass Department of Public Health or from the Worcester Health Alliance, of which we are a part of, that they were not taking any position to notify the public either. And so for right now, I just worry about the precedent we set when we notify the public about things that aren't conclusive in the data that they're showing.
Okay. Also, the other thing I would say about that briefly is putting fluoride in the water is not under our purview. It's the purview of the Board of Health. And I know some people think other than that, but that's the case. So this isn't the right forum for that. I do agree with you on if you put something out on PFAS, I don't think anybody would question that it's dangerous for you. There certainly is discussion about that for years and as far as fluoride goes. And I think to put something out and say definitively something and not have a different perspective, that I don't think it's appropriate. But in any event, I think we have to defer it to the Board of Health. It's their decision and it's their purview. Item 20.